What's going on, man? It's one half of Enveonline, Deshaun Jones.
Other half, Azar Johnson.
Oh, man, we back. We back. I think this is episode 5 or 6, man. I don't even know, man.
Yeah.
We got a couple unofficial episodes out there. But we got a lot to talk about on today's episode. So we're going to run through some of our sports topics with college football, NFL. We even got some hip-hop content. So, man, how do you want to do this today?
Yeah, let's, start with definitely with the college.
All right. So, over the weekend, I had a chance to drive down to the Bronx, cover UAlbany versus Fordham. Great game. So, before we get into it, shout outs to both teams. They did a great job. If you had a chance to watch it, if you were there, you saw a high-power offense for both teams. As being media for UAlbany, unfortunately, they couldn't pull it out. They lost, scored 48-45 in favor of the Fordham Rams. There's a lot to talk about in that game, so I'll kind of lead the discussion.
Okay.
Like I said, just start off for the game. High power offense. Fordham came out swinging, getting people involved. Like the first couple of plays, they were launching it down the field. But then something happened in the second quarter. Things settled down. Quarterback Reese Poffenberger got his stuff together. Then they started fighting back.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple weapons, man. It was just one of those games where he's like, oh, man, I wish there was overtime. That's how good it was.
Mm-hmm.
But, things kind of fell off. They couldn't hold a lead. Then you have Fordham just, they put up 51 points last game. Then this game, put up 48 points. You had a chance to watch because you weren't there. I was there, but we were communicating through text message.
Right.
So I got my views on what happened. You got your views on what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to talk about the offense or the defense first?
I think let's talk about the problem first.
Okay.
I would really let the good news come in through the door. So bad news come in through the door so the good news can soften the, take care of it.
So let's start like this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to start with the post game, talking to the player, talking to the player and the coach. So post game media coverage, and we'll have that on our channel later so you can check out in full context. So basically it's kind of humbling in the room. Both Todd Sibley and Coach who did the interview afterwards, you got a sense that they were happy that there was things that was turned around from last game because they were asked about, there was a lot of mental errors last game. There was a lot of defensive penalties that you guys racked up. So they were happy some of those things were cleaned up, but they were also frustrated that some of those bad habits reared their ugly head again.
Mm-hmm.
And Coach talked about it like he was like, there's, and I'm paraphrasing, and like I said, the full video will be out in context. Basically saying, I'm happy that we're playing hard, but playing hard isn't good enough. We have to start winning games.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Like he made it clear, Central Connecticut. Like I asked him, what is the message going into the next game?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we play hard, but we got to win one. It's time to put our big boy pants on, and we got to win one. And I'm paraphrasing. So that's where I want to start.
Mm-hmm.
Good point. UAlbany did play hard, but as he alluded to, they couldn't pull it off. You were up 11 in the third quarter and had a chance to go up maybe 17, 18, but couldn't kind of put a couple plays together in the late third quarter, and you just let Fordham come back swinging and basically stealing one at home, as crazy as that sounds.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I want to start, and just from his comments. So what is your feedback on that?
It's once again, UAlbany is fighting back. They did this last week against New Hampshire. So go ahead.
I got to interject on that. I get where you're going with this, but being there, this was totally different from New Hampshire. They were in control at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, going into half, they were in control. Guess what happened when they came out of half?
They lost the control of the game.
First play of the game. First drive of the game. A miscue, quarterback throws the ball, gets the ball back, then turnover. First play of the game. Fordham gets it back. Guess what Fordham does? Score right away. All the momentum is gone.
Right.
So this wasn't a game where they were getting a dog crap beat out of them. And then in the fourth quarter, they came. No, they were actually in control. That's what it was like, kind of frustrating, you could see. But go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm going to allude to this later for the NFL part of it, what we do. And one, let me go in here. No disrespect to the UAlbany defensive coordinator. There's clearly some issues on the defensive side of the ball. I think that anytime, because Fordham, they put up 52 points on Monmouth. They put up, I think 40 points the week. But, they're putting up points. So when you know you got a high-powered offense like this, everybody tell you in basic football, you keep everything in front of you. When you have a high-powered offense like this, you drop at least 7. You rush 4 and drop 7, or you rush 5 and drop 6. It seemed like from what I was seeing, they weren't doing things to keep everything in front of you. Because the one thing about a high-powered offense, they want to get down the field. That's what they want to do. They don't want to methodically move down the field. They don't want to just take the 5-yard crossing slants. They want to, if they do take a slant, they want to make sure they can get through the seams and go for the big one. It doesn't seem like UAlbany went into that game. I don't want to use the word cocky, maybe confident that they could guard those guys and maybe slow them down. They weren't doing any of it. At this point, with the way they were, even though UAlbany was in control by halftime, the way Fordham was scoring, you got to drop back and keep things in front of you. You have to. You cannot be. It's the best. My best analogy of this is, remember the Buccaneers when they played Kansas City the first time?
Yep.
They kept throwing those blitzes because they were cocky, and what they do said it was going to work. It clearly did not. So when they met them in the Super Bowl, they knew. They said, okay, we're not going to show them the same look. They basically played like a 4-3-4. They put the linebackers. They put 2 linebackers in one corner up. They kept. If Kelsey was coming across, they had 3 people that was able to run step for step wherever part he chose to field. You have 4 guys in the backfield to make sure that Tyreek Hill didn't get his deep route. They would never let them get the deep route. It seemed like in that game when UAlbany, they kept letting them get that deep route. You can't let that happen.
So to allude to that, so I was at the game, and if you follow me on social media, I throw up a lot of highlights because I'm the videographer, content creator, blah, blah, blah. And
genius.
It, let me say this: it's fun throwing up the highlights, but I found myself as doing film study, because I was like, hey, I got all these highlight clips. I'm throwing them up on the gram, I'm throwing them up on Twitter, and I'm like, well, let me just sit back, take myself out of the fan zone and put my mind in, if I'm a player or defensive coordinator, what did I see? I'm editing hours of footage. On a lot of those plays, as you just alluded to, there was little to no resistance. So I'm going to give you some context. There was major plays made on the UAlbany side. Reese Poffen, I want to pronounce his last name right, Poffenbarger, was airing that thing out. He was hitting Roy Alexander. He was hitting Julius Hicks. Incredible catches. You know what the difference was?
What?
When Julius Hicks was catching those balls, it was contested. Great catch. Some unbelievable catches over the head. And one. Roy Alexander jumping over people back. Thomas Greeny, first down, all contested. You know what I saw from Fordham when their quarterback 10 was airing it out? Simple play route. No resistance. Jaden Allen, first touchdown of his collegiate career as a sophomore. Breaking away 30 yards. There was nobody behind him. You know what I saw when what's his name? Hold on real quick. Garrett Cody got his 2 touchdowns, because I have it on film. Simple run. Nobody was nowhere near him. And he had 2 touchdowns like that. So when I'm watching the film, I'm sitting here like, damn, what kind of cup? Like, as you said, and again, I'm just media, so I'm not pointing the finger. Offense, defense, you win as a team, you lose as a team. I'm just telling you on the media side, what did I see? The touchdowns to Jaden Allen from Fordham. The touchdowns to Garrett Cody, his 2 touchdowns. They were wide open. There was nobody in the backfield guarding them.
Right.
And I just could not wrap my head around what was the defensive scheme and assignments.
Right.
You're really the football guy.
Mm.
I was there head up, but it blew my mind. Watching that and then listening to what I'm saying in context, can you give me any thought? What was the thought process behind that?
Like what do you mean? Were you UAlbany?
Yeah,
they had to have
the defensive
felt,
coordinator. Why would you? Like I said, I'm doing film study as a media, and I'm watching all these great clips that I'm cutting up and posting to social media.
Yeah,
and I'm just sitting here shocked, like how did Garoppolo break for 2 wide open touchdowns? How did Jay? I'm not saying they're not great players; they're great players, but where was the resistance in a way that they were pressuring up on Roy Alexander? They were pressuring up on Julius Hicks. They made those catches, but there was a lot of resistance.
Right.
There wasn't that same resistance on the other end.
Right. It just how can I put it? Sometimes the coach feels like even though his scheme may not be working, that they're not playing the scheme correctly. But it wasn't the scheme. You had the wrong scheme in there. Like whatever scheme you was playing, you shouldn't have been playing that. You got to come at it. You got to make adjustments. Like I'm gonna say it again. Like with Tampa Bay, they never came out of that scheme the whole game. When they shot Kansas City, they never came out of that scheme. Until you show us you can stop it, we're not coming out of that scheme. And with Fordham, they were showing you. They kept going deep. They kept going
trust
deep.
Me, I got the highlights.
I was like,
buddy.
yo, how many times you gonna keep letting them go back there? Drop if you need an extra safety back there, make them, even if they score, make them work. Especially when you had an 11-point lead, just make them work.
That's what I'm alluding to. That's what I was just saying by the resistance factor.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the highlight clips that I'm posting. Nice touchdown catch by Julius Hicks. He had a person right on his behind that made him fall when he catch it.
Right.
I saw the pass where he caught it out of bounds.
Yeah,
there was
nice.
somebody right on his bumper. I saw the Roy Alexander catch. Great catch. There was somebody on him. The 3 touchdowns that I highlighted from Fordham. Garrett Cody, 2 touchdowns. Jaden Allen. There was nobody nowhere to be found.
Right.
I don't, I wish, I'm just media. I'm just media, but I wish I could have a film study with the defensive coordinator. Like, you want to look at these highlight clips?
Right. I
could send you the film.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Right. No, and in reference to that, man, that's kind of, that's kind of a little crazy. I really think though, I think what they'll do now, they're playing Central Connecticut State. So I think going into this, if I'm a team and moving forward from this, to just go off of where you're going into this, if I'm UAlbany, at least I know I can move the ball. Okay, that's one good thing I could take away from this game. But on defense, we got to start being honest about who we are. If I'm Gatso, I'm the head coach, and I'm talking coordinator, but we need to be honest about who we are. We'll see what they're showing us, and if they're showing us that they're going to try to go as deep, then we need to start pulling back. Because let me tell you what I'm having a problem with the defense. It's definitely the scheme. New Hampshire was running the ball and methodically moving down the field. They couldn't go deep. Let me give you a point. I'm sorry to cut you off. North Carolina Central just played them, right? I saw it where North Carolina Central was basically daring them to go deep. That's daring
where I'm going
because they said, we know you. And they did. New Hampshire went deep a few times. They succeeded. But see, North Carolina Central said, no, we know you can't keep this up. So while they had the lead, they was going to take everything that they wanted to do. They were taking it underneath in the running game. They were making it irrelevant. We know you can't keep going deep. So we're going to make you try. You know what I mean?
Now that you're bringing this up, do you think, before we transition,
go ahead.
Do you think it was a little, damn, man, that cat last time had 200 and some odd yards. They was punching the ball down our throat. This is how we need to attack it. Because that's what it looked like. The coverage, it was, blitz coverage, blown coverages. It was, let's prepare for the run. But in my head, it's like, okay, you could have did that maybe the first quarter, but after the first quarter, start making adjustments. It seemed like they looked at what New Hampshire did to them, and that was their game plan defensively. That's just my humble media opinion.
Yeah, but we all know going in there, like I said, Fordham was putting up 52 points. that's not from just running. They was literally airing the ball out. So they were known for doing that. So I mean, if you wanted to make them run all day, that would have been a success, even if they got 200 yards, because that's not what they really wanted to do. So my whole thing is with New Hampshire, like I said, New Hampshire did what they wanted. They were methodically moving down the field. They couldn't get deep on UAlbany. They just kept doing underneath stuff. How you didn't play a shell? Just play a shell defense. Basically put 7 people in the box and put 4 around or put 5 people in the box and put 6 around. Just put 6 around. Take 2 and take 4. Take 2 in the middle and put 4 around and just make them try to see if they're going to go deep. Just keep them in within 10 yards. They didn't want to do that. So being that you didn't want to do that, New Hampshire kept doing what they wanted to do. And no disrespect, because I know, they were airing it out at the end, but that was after New Hampshire had jumped on them and was playing a different defense. And they were kind of letting them eat up the field. Like, no, come on, come down the field, let's run out of time. Because the coach, Santos, even made a good point. He said we kind of got laxed on defense. I wanted us to fall back, but not like that. You get what I'm saying? So I think going into Central Connecticut State, whatever they do, I don't know Central Connecticut State very well. I don't know what they do. I do know that I don't know if they're good in the run or good in the pass, but whatever they are good at and whatever they're going to try, you need to take that away. You get what I'm saying? Like I said, they just need to figure out their strengths. And let me make this clear. They're 0-3. That's another thing. So unless you run the table, your chances are probably slim to none to getting into a playoff, and that's where they all want to go. Now, what I think is the elephant in the room and nobody wants to talk about, in which I would never talk about anything crazy about somebody's job, but you can't keep producing 3-8 seasons. I get why it would happen, but you can't just keep producing. It's 0-3, so we're taking one game at a time, but you're 0-3. At what point? You brought this kid in, and he's an ill kid. This kid he's an ill thrower. So let's just see where this goes. I think they'll turn it around. To be honest with you, let me make that clear. I do think they'll turn it around. I think UAlbany will be above 500. I think they just got to take it one game at a time at this point.
Definitely, like I said, great game, good performances from both teams. On the Fordham side, I want to say the quarterback, Tim, had at least 400 passing yards. And on UAlbany side, Reese had 400 yards. So it was a high-power offense, good game. Oh, we talked a lot about both sides. One thing we didn't talk about, like we did last time, I got to give the impact player, the impact player award. So I was there. So the impact player, at least for UAlbany, because we're covering UAlbany, I got to give it to the running back, Todd Sibley. Kid was amazing. Had 4 rushing touchdowns. Had 3 of them in the first half. His performance was slightly drawn back because he started cramping up at the end of the third quarter, heading into the fourth, where he had to sit down for some time. But amazing game from that kid. Shout outs to him. Great running back. He did anything he could want in that game. And I look forward to seeing how he's going to follow up with that performance going into Central Connecticut, because that gives them some versatility outside their wide receivers, outside of a Julius Hicks, outside of Roy Alexander, and outside of Thomas Greeny. Now you add a running game like that, you can compete. So shout outs to UAlbany, shout outs to Fordham. Look forward to seeing the game next week with them versus Central Connecticut, and hope you can get a win before the bye week. Come on, fellas. Y'all got to do it.
Facts.
All right. Let's transition, man.
Okay.
You still want to stick on college, or we going to go into the NFL?
Well, I just wanted to give some mentions. Shouts out to, and I want to bring this up. Shouts out to the 3 undefeated teams in the conference.
Okay.
Which is Delaware, who had a very impressive win over Rhode Island. To kind of give you an idea, it was tied 7-7, and they put up 28 points in the second quarter. They
That's
never
4 touchdowns.
They never looked back. They never
That's
looked
4
back.
touchdowns.
So that's a quick excerpt from that. I think we'll like I said, we'll go over quick. Shouts out to Hampton University.
HBCU.
They got their third win. I think what's impressive about them is like what we're looking for UAlbany. They're winning games the way however they are winning them. So, in other words, they got their first win over Howard, 31-28, the first game of the season. Second game of the season, they put a butt whooping on who was it? That's the tip of my tongue. Their second game they scored a lot of points, and in this third game they won a defensive battle 17-7 over Norfolk State. So, shouts out to them. They are also 3-0. And then there's also William and Mary, who's probably one of the most impressive teams also, because they beat a Division I school like a Charleston. Okay. They beat them to get their first win of the season. They won last week, and then they won this week. You know what I'm saying? So they're 3-0. They haven't played anybody in the conference, which I think that makes it even more impressive because that means they're beating
non-conference teams like that, man.
Right. So so
you think they're gonna roll over the conference?
Yeah. You know what I think, and Mike London, I hope I'm saying his name right. What's impressive about him is he's doing this. I remember when we first was covering him, like when we paid attention to him when he took over, he was kind of riding a high tempo offense. And I don't know, that kind of wasn't working. It was kind of like what Rhode Island was doing. He was scoring a lot of points. They were winning games 32-31, 36-33, but they weren't getting ahead of the hump. So they would be in the middle of the pack all the time. This season, it looks like they're on both sides of the ball doing everything. They're offensively moving, but they're stopping the other team, and it's hard for the other team to win. They're to score. So salute to them and shouts out to them for having a non-conference play. So just to give you a heads up of what the standings look like for the top four teams, because of, they go by conference, it's New Hampshire right now at the top with 2-1 because they have the most wins in the division. Delaware's right behind them at 3-0. Rhode Island is 2-1, and they got to play Pittsburgh this week. And Hampton is 3-0. And I think Hampton and Delaware, if I'm not mistaken, play each other to a Saturday night. So somebody's not going to be undefeated after this. Mm-hmm. That's going to be a big game. It's at 6 p.m. So if you got the Flow Football app, please go check it out. That's going to be a better game. What I also want to do is talk about another excerpt. And this I don't know what's going on with my notepad here. Let me make this.
We having some technical difficulties over there, brother.
Yeah. We
gonna get it together.
We having something. I don't know what's going on, but whatever. Stony Brook.
Okay.
They're 0-2. And reason why that's alarming, when you say UAlbany, well, hey, they're 0-3. Stony Brook, and reason why I'm saying that is because they're having an issue. They better get something going over there together, because if it doesn't start getting better, it's not going to go good for them. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They're 0-2. Okay? It doesn't look good. And I need to be honest, it didn't look good that they lost. And then now that kid, the young gentleman, I forgot his name, the senior quarterback, he wasn't playing. He was a freshman. Tyson Lawton also wasn't getting a lot of running yards. It was another kid getting a start. So I don't know.
They having a problem with who's starting.
Yeah,
you don't quite have your team together.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Remember they're coming off a bye week. So, for him, as Coach Rory said, he said, yo, we're going to figure this out. Well, I think you were supposed to, that's what camp is for. Saying so.
Correct.
We're now in like game 3 and you still haven't figured it out. I think you need to figure that out and see what's going on, because that's not going to work. So I think that, they need to, that's definitely, and the reason why we pay attention to them is because, they clearly are in front of UAlbany. But I don't know if UAlbany wins, then UAlbany will be in front of them. So I think it's something that they're going to have to get together. They're really going to have to get together. So
I those were our honorable mentions of the CAA?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to bring up. I wanted to definitely bring that up. I think that, like I said before, it's interesting. You know what I mean? It's definitely interesting. It's going to be an interesting season. Right now, everybody's up and down. There's teams that look good. New Hampshire looked good. Everybody was looking good. I think what was most impressive, that 3 FCS teams beat top Division I teams. So I think that was impressive. I think, we got a whole lot more coming. I mean, somebody can come from the bottom.
It's still
we could
early
be talking
in the
from
CAA.
the top. Yeah.
Like we might have some surprises, and I'm hoping UAlbany pulls himself up to come up the ladder. But it's still early for all the CAA teams. Week 6 of week 7. This might be a totally different conversation.
Facts.
Once again, shout out to all the teams in the CAA Football Conference. We're covering UAlbany, but hey, man, shout out to all the student athletes and all the teams, man. It's a long season still ahead. Man, so let's transition into, want to talk about the NFL?
Yeah, we could definitely go into the NFL. Where you want to start at?
You said the Falcons, or?
You can start with the Falcons.
Because
that's my team, man.
It's no point in talking about Pittsburgh,
Here
man.
you go. You don't want to talk about them, man?
Man, I was getting excited.
You don't want to talk about them now.
This is why I got this cowboy hat on, man.
Yeah.
I know you peeped the cowboy hat.
I didn't say nothing. I thought it was for Styles, man.
Yeah,
I thought it was for Styles.
It's for Deshaun couldn't make it to the barbershop. My wig looks crazy, so I got a do-rag and a cap on, man. But
it's all good, brother.
Pittsburgh's still a fan no matter what. We took an L. We 1-1, but let's get into the Atlanta Falcons.
So yesterday, the Falcons, they lost the game to the Los Angeles Rams, which there was a lot to take from that. They lost to the Rams 31-27 yesterday. And don't let anything fool you, because they keep talking about it today. And I'm a Falcons fan, so I'm gonna give my truth and analogy about it. They lost 31-27. So everybody says, wow, they took it down to the end of the game. They were basically getting stomped out to the third quarter.
Hey, you can't show love to them.
No, I'm not showing love, man. I'm not giving them any breathing room, because I watch, and I'm gonna say it, and yes, it has something to do with how they treat black coaches in the NFL. So I'm not gonna have any mercy. So I saw Steve Wilkes get a job with the Arizona Cardinals, and they let go of him after 1 year. So no, this guy, whatever his name is, I forgot again because I don't care. He basically, at the end of they were getting stomped out 28-3.
Okay.
There was mistakes that were being made by the Rams. I think the Rams kind of got a little relaxed, but I also think, though, they were messing up because the Falcons blocked a punt. And then at one point, they got the ball back. They got stops. They made Cooper Kupp fumble. They did a lot of things. The Falcons really came out and got aggressive and didn't give up. They made a comeback. They were down, I want to say, they were coming back. It was 31. It might have been 28-27. I forgot. But they were coming down near the end of the field. The commentator said in the game, don't take the shot down to the end zone, because they had it was 3rd and 13. They were in the red zone, but the commentator said, don't take the shot in the end zone. Don't take it. Just get half the yards so you get another play so you can either tie to win the game, right? What you think this Mariota does? He takes a shot in the end zone, and he takes
top receiver, eh?
No, it was probably the 3rd or 4th best receiver, Brian Roberts, against the top corner in the league, Jalen Ramsey. What was you thinking?
You saw him talking that noise at the end. He was saying,
"Yeah,
I'm him,
right?
I'm him,
right?" Because you know what he saw?
Put him on that island, man.
You know what he saw? He saw that game Thursday night when the Bills were playing, and they lit Jalen Ramsey up. Well, let's be honest. Jalen Ramsey wasn't even really playing man-to-man. He's playing a lot of zone in that game because the Bills have so many weapons that Jalen Ramsey can't cover one guy. In Atlanta, he doesn't have to do that because there's no one guy. There's Cordell Patterson and Drake London, and those are the team main, and Kyle Pitts. I'm sorry, Kyle Pitts. So we do have pieces, but when you're talking about Kyle Pitts isn't there yet. That's not a shot at him. He's coming along, but he's not there yet, right? And Cordell Patterson is basically a running back. He's like Deebo Samuel. He does everything. So with Jalen, he's just got to take Drake London away. And Drake London made some good catches, but, anyway, Ramsey, whoever he was on, he took him out of the game because Atlanta doesn't have that guy. What they landed, Mariota, and not a shot at Mariota, you are not Josh Allen. And you do not have Stephon Diggs type of guy in that team. And I don't care what the fans were saying, because I guess the coach had to deal with the press conference after he said, we're not dealing with fantasy, we're trying to win games, because they all wonder why he didn't go to Kyle Pitts. Well, I understand that, but you had Cordell Patterson, you had Kyle Pitts, and you had Drake London. and you chose Brian Roberts. What the hell were you thinking against Jalen Ramsey?
Is that the equivalent?
What the hell was you thinking? And the thing is, I don't know. Okay, so let me make this clear. I don't know what it was. Either Mariota wasn't listening to the coach or the coach just said, I'm going to trust your decision. If that was the case and the coach trusted the decision, I'm telling Mariota today, don't you ever do that again. And I will call a play, and you better run it the way I need to run it, because that is not going to fly with us. So now you're 0-2. You lost the game to the Saints that you should have won. You got really stomped out against the Rams. I'm just wondering when this development project is going to start turning around.
I told you it's like the 76ers, the process.
They had the Seahawks next week. Now, the Seahawks, they got stomped out yesterday. They didn't get stomped out, but they got pretty much shut down by San Fran. And I know that's San Fran. I swear we'll start to see if Atlanta goes up to Seattle next week and Seattle starts playing like lights out, then that tells me there's something wrong. Because I keep hearing from this GM, who I have no words for, because why you thought this guy was the coach to be for the Falcons, whatever, we ain't going to clear. But I do know Byron Leftwich is probably going to be playing in January, coaching in January. I know Todd Bowles probably will. I know Eric Bieniemy will. Probably Pep Hamilton's probably a better quarterback developer. I don't know. I mean, maybe guess, but what do I know? I know Lovie Smith. I know they played tougher yesterday. They almost pulled up an upset. So I'm trying to understand. I don't know when this turnaround is coming. I know it's only 0-2, but you're in a division with the Saints and the Bucks. Carolina's figuring it out, and that's okay. You're in a conference in a division this year with the Saints and the Bucks. Just keep that in mind. So I don't know 0-2 how we gonna just turn it around, and we gonna have the Saints again, and you got the Bucks 2 more times. And that's not including your non-conference schedule. So I just don't know when this is going to turn around and how this is going to be a better thing. And he's saying that they're going to change the culture. Why? Because you guys play hard. The Detroit Lions play hard. And they're 5-11. So, I mean, what are you saying here?
Then you say in the beginning of then you say a couple podcasts, though. That's like what you're hoping for.
It's going to be a tough year.
About a 5.
Yeah, it's going to be a building year. It's going to be a year. But with Terry Fontenot, which they keep letting off the hook because nobody's saying anything. I know one, and I'm going to address it in probably one of the articles in my end of the year articles they're going to start learning. You had a chance to hire a championship type coach. You could have pulled somebody from Tampa Bay. You didn't want to do that. You could have pulled Bieniemy. You didn't want to do that.
Who's from Tampa Bay that you would prefer them to hire?
Well, their defense is horrible. I want to say Bowles would have been good. Bowles are left what you can't go wrong with. But okay. I do think Bowles, because Bowles is a better game manager. He can manage the game. He knows how to do it. Let's remember, Todd Bowles is everybody forgets he's with the Jets. And that's a mess within itself. And the Jets gave him a horrible position because they attached his career to Josh McCown, who's now coaching high school football. So he gets to pass on that. So I just want to say, man, I don't know where this is going to go. This is another season for the Falcons fans. Ever since the Super Bowl, it's been downhill. You went with Dan Quinn, and after about 2 years, he tore the team down. The team was bad. So the team was bad, and now you got this guy, and he says, well, we got guys that came here and played hard. That was his first year. We changed the culture. And now the second year is, you got to prove you want to be here. I thought we were doing that last season. What are you talking about? You prove you want to be here. How about you coach like you want to be here?
I'm going to keep saying it. This is the 76ers process. Every year, trust the process. You know what the fans start saying? We 6 years in and trusting this process. Can you at least get us to the Eastern Conference so we can compete for a title?
Yeah, it just gets to a point, and it just, I can't, man. This some days. I mean, really, we lose into the Saints. We let them drive down the field, and I'm not going to go on this, but let me tell you the next 2 games, and we're going to give a quarter report at week 4. So they got Seattle, and then they go home and play Cleveland, and then the game after that, they go to Tampa Bay. So good luck with that.
That's a loss.
And you got angry Brady because his wife has left him. You know what I'm saying? I'm
sorry.
sorry. No.
Hold on.
Let me rephrase
I'm in
that.
basketball. I'm in the basketball run. What happened?
No.
Fill me in, buddy.
Let me rephrase that.
Fill me in.
There was reports that his wife has left the house and they're not living in the same house because he came back. You know, he came back to play football. He said he was going to retire and he came back. So he's mad. That's why that incident happened the way it happened. So do you want to fast forward to that or do you want to keep asking about the Falcons?
Can we fast forward to that? This seemed more interesting.
Okay. So yesterday, the New Orleans Saints, now we're going to go into that. So yesterday, New Orleans Saints yesterday, they won the game. Was it 24-10? 21-10? They basically, it was a match that was made. It was 3-3 the whole game. During the fourth quarter, Lattimore got into it with Tom Brady. First, he got into it. He got into it with Tom Brady. He ran. Brady said something to him on the way. He said something to Brady, whatever, they had words. Then all of a sudden, Leonard Fournette hit him, and he hit Leonard Fournette back in the face.
Brady or somebody else?
No, Lattimore. Okay. Leonard Fournette is he's a Tampa Bay Bucs running back. So he hits Lattimore, and then Mike Evans comes running and runs and just bum rushes Lattimore and hits him, which what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to protect your quarterback. So they all start rumbling or whatever. They kick Evans out of the field. They kicked Mike Evans out the game. Lattimore got put out of the game, which it hurt them because he's one of their shutdown corners, and he does take Evans out of the game. He always shuts him down, right? So they get into it or whatever, and you know Brady's like all hot-headed, slamming tablets. And,
I saw that,
and he's getting into it with his offensive lineman, barking and yelling, and you know they say he's and I'm pretty.
So is that some misplaced anger, buddy?
It probably is because it's the dramatics, but and it is what it is, and I'm Tom Brady is who Tom Brady is. He's the GOAT. Nobody can stress that. I just wonder why yesterday, when he yapped his mouth, why nobody didn't hit him?
Tom Brady?
Yeah, I'm not promoting violence, but I'm just asking a question. Why didn't nobody hit him?
He's the GOAT.
I can assure you, when he was running his mouth and Leonard Fournette hit him and Mike Evans hit him, the Saints did go running towards them to go at them. I want to know why nobody did knock Tom Brady on his behind. So since you got a big mouth and you seem like you want to play a tough guy, why don't I hit you one good time and see if you want to get up from that? I guarantee for the game that would have changed it. Even if I got to take the L and get suspended for a few games, the pain I'm going to put on you, you're going to be going for a few games.
It's the same way to play devil's advocate. How many guys went after Michael Jordan when he was talking spicy in their head?
I feel you. A few people.
I'm talking about
like Reggie Miller, but only a few.
Yeah, a few and far between.
Yeah, ones that had heart.
Yeah, Detroit Pistons.
Yeah, they didn't care. Jordan wanted to get up. They want to go right. They want to dance with him all day. They wanted to smoke.
A few New York Knicks.
Yeah, all the Knicks. I love those Knicks. Even though we didn't win a championship, those my guys.
There's a famous clip of where. I forgot his name. Is it McDaniels? One of the Knicks.
Xavier?
Xavier, yeah. So it was the playoff series, and Xavier got in Scottie Pittman's face. And Pittman, he's not that guy.
No,
he's not that guy. So you see Michael Jordan just about face and turn into McDaniels like, F you, we can get it on right now. And it kind of like lifted their spirits. But point I'm making is, to go at a person like that, you got to be like that. Right. So, to answer your question, who was you expecting to knock Tom Brady on his behind? Because you got to have. It's not just he's the GOAT. Who are you? Who's on that team like that?
I'm willing to take one for the team, and I ain't scared of it.
I know. I'm asking you, who on that team?
Lattimore, not Lattimore. Wasn't he the one involved in it? Okay, Cameron Jordan. He should have took it to him.
Cameron Jordan, man. Come on.
Should have took it to him. Should have knocked him right on his butt. Oh, you talking to my partner like that? Watch this. You're going to be looking at the lights. Every time you yap your mouth, you're going to start seeing lights. Either the way I hit you or the way I knocked you on your back, you're going to see lights. That's the message you need to send. That's the message you need to send. That didn't hurt them yesterday. Brady was still in the game. So since my man had to come out, you going to see some stars when you come up to the line. And you better hope I don't get through the line to get you again. Because now I'm going to try to take, I'm taking you out. They need to, let's all be honest. They were scared to hit Brady because they thought it might cost them.
That's
I don't
where
care.
I was getting at. You see, I wasn't trying to dance around the question. That's what I was getting at. Who on that team is like that?
You are about to get this work, and it's about to happen. That's what it is. You want to go after Leonard Fournette and them, that's cool. But Tom Brady was running his mouth, and it's only certain guys he do that to. Because I don't know. I'm trying to think like the old school NFL, which, concussions and all that, so you don't want to do that. Imagine Lawrence Taylor, he say something like that.
Oh, man.
He wouldn't. We would probably be talking about him
his retirement.
His retirement right now. Imagine Lawrence Taylor would be like, yo, if he didn't get him during that, he'd be like, yo, watch, I'm going to get him on the next play. Just watch what happens. So my whole point into it is just like when I saw it yesterday, I didn't understand. And I mean, they got chippy, but, Brady's up there yapping his mouth with Lattimore. Even when Fournette would have jammed me in my face, I still would have just jammed and went right over to him. You about to get it. Like it's not even gonna go. There's no way you were gonna have that speech to be said, and it was gonna be okay for you after. There was no way that was gonna happen. So that's my whole thing. I just kind of looked at it like, this isn't something you should be doing, and I don't know, man. New Orleans will be back. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was one of the biggest games I saw yesterday, other than the Falcons. Once again falling down the hole. Another thing, do you want to move on to the next thing?
Well, it depends. Are we done with this segment?
With the Saints? Yeah, we're done with the Saints segment. But I just think that, and also with Jameis Winston, let me also say there's two ways of looking at it, and let me go. There's many storylines of it. One was we all kind of seen y'all was scared to see what was the reaction if Tom Brady got knocked out the game. I don't really care. So that's one. Two, let me make this clear. Salute the Todd Bowles for winning the game, for being 2-0, for managing this team and doing whatever, because the Saints have had their number. Let's just be honest. Saints they beat the Saints to get to the Super Bowl, but it don't change that when the Saints have basically taken their soul and they get Brady fits. Anyway, long story short, the Saints will be back. Let's see how this works out. We'll know by the half of the season what the Saints are, and I think they'll be exactly what we think they are, which is a team to compete for the playoffs and make a deep run.
It's a good analysis.
Mm-hmm.
So, are we going to talk about them? It's New York, so they're in a happy place right now.
The Giants.
They're in a happy place. Do we want to rain on their parade or
no? I mean,
you know what? It's deserved what they're doing right now. So
right.
We got to give them their flowers.
Right.
So the next segment, we're going to talk about them Giants.
Okay. So the Giants, who yesterday they came out with a win over the Carolina Panthers, which was very impressive. It was the way that they kind of kept them in check. McCaffrey didn't break free and do everything. They're learning. They're winning games. I think what's impressive about the Giants is it's not the fact that they're 2-0, but they're learning to win games. That's the most important part. So Daniel Jones and all of them, they're learning to win games and not making mistakes. They're getting behind Saquon Barkley. They're playing tough. I mean, their defense is it's not bad. Baker Mayfield couldn't get down the field on them. Let me put it to you this way. Okay, so let me put it to you this, and I'm gonna go with this analogy. So, if you look at, there was another New York team that won yesterday. When Baker Mayfield played them, he came back in the fourth quarter. He put up 2 touchdowns and came back. When he played the Giants, he couldn't do that. Okay. He couldn't get in the end zone. They kept him out of the end zone. What the Giants are doing, I don't want to use the word they're playing safe. They're playing to their strengths, and which is their running game and their defense. At some point, though, and Shepard is making catches. I'm starting to see a resurgence from him of him showing who we thought he was. They're connecting both. They're playing with both. What's making them impressive is that Daniel Jones is playing not to lose the game, and he's playing better. He's playing a better quarterback because he has a coach that's trying to develop him, that's really behind him and say, show me what you got with what I'm giving you. And I think it's working both ways. And this is just a memo to a lot of NFL teams that keep trying to replace a quarterback every year. Maybe if you get behind them and develop them, maybe it will. It ain't going to be like every year. Patrick Mahomes sat his first year. But for some reason, they keep thinking Patrick Mahomes just came out of college and was zooming. He wasn't zooming. He sat for a year. Daniel Jones he sat, but, I mean, then he came into a bad situation. So I think for now, it was impressive yesterday what they did. And they kept Baker Mayfield out of the end zone. And they kept McCaffrey. They contained him. So I think as long as they keep doing it, and then they got the Cowboys next week. And I want to say this. I know the Bengals are they played them tough. They took them down to M. The Giants' defense is better than the Bengals' defense. So I don't think Tony Pollard will be breaking 30, 40-yard runs and 20, 30-yard runs and breaking down the field.
Is this going to be a conversation next week about Dak Prescott and that contract? Because people are starting to say that contract's looking a little shaky in the light, buddy. We're going to stay here. I'm just throwing that up.
Yeah. I think that
because that's going to be a storyline, buddy.
I think with Dak Prescott, I think when he comes back, that's more Jerry Jones than it is Dak Prescott. We all know what Dak Prescott is. He's a methodically game manager, and he can do what he does. But I mean, he ain't going. You really think with this roster he was going to the Super Bowl? So we'll talk.
You ask Cowboy fans that, buddy, on here?
Yeah.
Hey, Cowboy fans, where y'all going every season?
Not with
16-0, huh?
Yeah.
You see the hat I got on? I would take it off, but my hair is messed up. You see the colors, though.
Yeah.
I support.
Yeah.
But every season is 16-0.
Yeah.
It's a game 3.
So to allude to the Giants are going to be okay. I think as long as Daniel Jones is developing and doing what he's doing, they're going to be a team. What did I say at the beginning of the season? I said they're going to have more than 4 wins.
You called it.
And I think it'll be less than 8, but it's going to be more than 4. So they might be 7, they might be 8, and they might prove me wrong. But I just think as for now, till they play, we'll see against Dallas, because I think it's let me see. It's of course it's a Monday night game. Every time they play the Cowboys, it seems to be on prime time. But they are in Giant Stadium, so the Cowboys play them in Giant Stadium. So I just think that I think we'll see. The lights are going to be on, because it's okay to be 2-0 when you're playing the Tennessee Titans on a 4:00 game that nobody's really watching but the Titans and Giants fans. It's okay when you're playing the Carolina Panthers and nobody's really paying attention because you're 1-0 and that's one game. It's another thing when those lights come on, and even though the Cowboys ain't the Cowboys right now without Dak Prescott, on Monday night everybody's going to be watching you.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. We'll see how it works. And I think also the key is Saquon Barkley, which I never ever wonder why.
Do you think McCaffrey outplayed him last game?
No, absolutely not. Saquon Barkley outplayed him.
Okay.
Saquon Barkley's the truth. It's just that we all know, and let me make this clear, now we're seeing, because now Dable's there, now we're seeing what Saquon Barkley, Joe Judge was never going to bring out the best of Saquon Barkley. Joe Judge didn't know what he was doing, because like every other New England assistant coach, you think that you just need to be tough and go in there and act like a jerk and treat your players like jerks and think that it's okay. And that's more important to you than actually developing the players and developing game plans and win games, because you clearly didn't work out. You went 4-13, man. So yeah, I think that, that'll be okay. That, the Giants are going to be with Saquon's going to be just fine, and he'll be one of the top running backs once again.
This pains me, man, as a Steelers fan, because all these teams we talking about is looking up.
Hey,
hey, man. Shout out to the Bills. The Bills is on tonight, Monday night, 7-0 right now, if you're keeping track on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, you're funny, dude.
They pitting the screws to the Titans right now.
Yeah, the Titans are another team that I think they're going downhill. I think they got a little cocky with some of their moves, but we'll say that. So the next topic I want to bring up, if possible.
Go ahead. Yeah, we got time.
I want to bring up the topic of games, closing games. We talked about it with UAlbany, and we talked about it with the Falcons and with the Rams, and even on the Rams, and they didn't close the game. They allowed them to come back. It wasn't just a block punt. If you look at teams, and I'm going to say this, and I've been watching football a long time, and I watched that spread offense. We need the game to be more offensive. We need the game to be running and throwing and making touchdowns and being highlight reels. What they don't understand is that doesn't win games. You've had high-powered offenses, but, I mean, at some point, they might have one good year, and that's it. That's all they got. Torrey Hall, let me tell you something in the era. I seen Dan Marino, who was the illest dude to throw the ball next to Warren Moon, right? I'm a fan of the run and shoot offense. 4 receiver sets, a quarterback, skinny line, your quarterback can get killed if you don't have a line. But with the way the run and shoot is designed, you do what you do. That's not going to work. That spread offense is not going to work, or the Arizona Cardinals would have been in the Super Bowl already. It does not work, because if you're building your line, if you're building a team to run a spread offense, let me make this clear. You're building a team to run the spread offense. The spread offense only works for a while. What happens when a team gets you and they can stop you? We saw this with Chip Kelly. He tried the same thing. He came in and he failed. Arizona is having problems. You know why? I mean, they beat the Raiders yesterday, but we'll see, because Kansas City lit them up. I saw that. So, I mean, to me, and I always say this, the running game is your friend. If you can get up on a lead, even with your spread offense, so say you get up 21-0. You ever notice, like, a lot of these games, these guys are up 20 plus points, and the team comes back because you keep throwing the ball. You can't you can't run the ball. Game. You can't keep them. You don't know how to methodically move down the field.
We saw that with the game versus New Hampshire. How long they kept UAlbany off the field and managed the clock to the end of the game.
Yeah.
So even when you do get the ball back, you're getting the ball back with 11 seconds. What are you going to do with 11 seconds?
Nothing.
Game over.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
So exactly my point. It comes from college and it's now going into the NFL, and it's not working. It's not working. Kansas City had a spread offense with the West Coast offense with Tyreek Hill on them. You see what Tampa Bay did to him?
Shredded.
So I don't understand. You want to keep. There's nothing wrong with putting up points. Everybody wants to put up points. What happens when the team stops you? It's like this: when you're up 21-0, or 22-3, or 21-3, or 28-3, kind of like start running the ball, push them back. Just even, let me put it to you this way. Even if you know, and they say, well, hey, what if you still keep scoring? When you get to the middle of the field, this is what you do. You get to the middle of the field, right? Say I'm up 21-3. I start aiming to get to the middle of the field. And when I air it out, my offense to get to the middle of the field, I start running the ball. And I start running the ball. And I start taking time off the clock. So even if I'm in the second quarter, I'm using up half the field. Even if I don't score, even if you stop me at the 50, I'm punting you back and pushing you back and pushing you back. And that means you have to keep consistently work the field. That's what Atlanta should have done in the Super Bowl, but we won't go there. So my point is to this, I'm seeing a lot of comebacks, and it's happening in NFL, and it comes from everybody wanting the throw, but they're missing out on everything else. It's the same thing. That's why. You're not learning how to stop the clock. You're not learning how to build a lead. You're not learning how to shorten the field. This is all basic elements of football, and you're trying to make it like John Madden, the video game, and Tecmo Bowl. That's not realistic. Because as much as in college that spread offense works, let me tell you something. Let me put a point here. You see Kirby Smart from Georgia? Mm-hmm. Oh, look at the quarterbacks he has. Those guys are just playing great. Then they get to the NFL. You know what happens in the NFL? You face a guy by the name of Chandler Jones that can get you before you get that ball out. Or you know what else happens? You face a corner like a Trayvon Diggs that can run just as fast as your receiver.
What are you gonna do?
Or you got a safety back there who's what's the other guy? Like, even though he's retired, but you had a safety back there like Ed Reed playing that's ready to put you out. So as much as the spread offense is great, that's all good. I saw yesterday with Cooper Kupp, he was balling, and then the Falcons started hitting him. You know what happened? He started fumbling the ball. So it just goes to show you, like, that's cute in college because it's not always even playing field. But in the pros, that's all cute too until you start playing guys that's on that level. You know, I know he's done right now, but Richard Sherman, he runs right just as well as Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel's not going to scare him. You get what I'm saying? Patrick Peterson, he runs just as well as Stephon Diggs. You're not going to scare Patrick Peterson. You get what I'm saying? Those guys are trained to run back field. So my whole point is what we're seeing is they're like, yeah, you know, what's going on with the defense? There's nothing wrong with the defenses. The defenses keep getting put back on the field. You got them sitting for like maybe a minute.
Can I give an analogy? Same thing happened in the NBA. Mm-hmm. Like, I come from the era where it was cool to play lockdown defense.
Yeah, me too.
Now we're seeing teams just chuck up 140 points to 135 points. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that shouldn't be possible because I know the scoring of the game evolves, and I know they say that the court is more wide open, but you shouldn't see scores consistently 135, 129. What happens to the 75, 78 games?
Yeah.
We're not consistently seeing those because I'm literally watching games where people are like playing drop coverage in defense. I know that's a football term, but in basketball, not really putting their hands up, not really checking people on the perimeter, and you watching the guy shoot 23-pointers. That's the equivalent of your spread offense, just throwing the ball. What happened when James Harden did that for the Rockets?
Nothing.
Not only nothing, but I think it was the final game in Game 7 where he was like 3 of 21 from three-pointers, and you still kept shooting three-pointers, and you lost. Kobe Bryant said this a while ago. That's the easiest thing to defend in the playoffs because all the wing defenders have to do is zone in on you. Keep you at the top of the key. You're going to keep shooting, either you're going to make it or miss it. Same thing going back as an analogy to your spread offense. You want to keep throwing it. We got defenses for that.
Yeah. And let me tell you, and I won't name who did tell me this. You know, we've talked to a lot of football coaches. It was from a certain program, and I won't say his name. He told me, he said, and he was a college coach, and he said, trust me, we're all laughing in the closed rooms. I said, what do you mean? He said, we all know that's going to fail. Those spread offenses are going to fail. That's why they got to change the rules because it's not working. We all know that's not going to. If it worked, everybody been doing it. So it's just what it is. It's just if you can't play defense and you don't know how to shorten the field, you know who was good at that? Not to go down memory lane. Bill Parcells was good at that. He knew how to take away, to give a history lesson. I'm kind of giving away my age here. The Bills had ran a K-gun offense before they were just run and shoot and spread and all that, right? They run an offense. It looked like the offense couldn't be stopped. He kept them. He methodically moved down every drive. He hit them. He played a 3-4 defense. He had 4 linebackers out there covering the field. So he had technically 3 linebackers and just, you know, guys back there. He had 4 other guys, but he had like 7 people drop back in the thing. He was playing defense. And he methodically moved and he shortened the field. And Buffalo couldn't get in the rhythm. So my point is the same thing with the offenses. They're going to start figuring it out. Like, okay, that's cool. You want to do a spread offense? That's okay. We'll figure it out. You know, Indianapolis, yesterday they got shut out. You know, they're supposed to have a high power offense even with their running game and even with Pittman and them, and they couldn't do nothing. It's the same thing. All these high powered offenses. Name one high powered offense that's doing well. Name one high powered offense. The Rams. The Rams won last year because the Rams had defensive players.
That was just about to say that. That's a little different.
Yeah, the Rams have balance on both sides. But who's really winning Super Bowls spread over? Yes, the Rams won the Super Bowl, but who else?
But as you said, they were balanced. That's the difference.
Yeah, they just had a no-name defense, and it was different for them. Their offense was so high-powered that like the defense would make stops, and then they like have to go back out on the field. But to make a long story short, these high-powered offenses, it ain't gonna work because you're gonna get stopped at some point. That's the Chiefs. They got stopped in Super Bowl. They was running their offense high-powered all that year. And they got stopped. So I think that you got to learn how to manage the game. And my one last thing to say about this, to make a good point of where I'm going with this, doesn't sound like I'm all over the place. I'm a Falcons fan. So we all know the painful memory I have of what New England did. Let me give a point, because everybody's seeing what Kyle Shanahan, and we will talk about that another time. This kid did with his ankle, Trey Lance. He busted his ankle. Okay. So Jimmy Garoppolo came in yesterday and won the game. And his arrogant behind thought for Atlanta when we was up 28-3, just keep throwing the ball. Just keep throwing the ball. All you had to do was keep running the ball, methodically move down the field, and keep Brady off the field out of rhythm. You didn't want to do it. You didn't want to do it because you wanted to prove a point, right? Mm-hmm. You think he would learn his lesson. So now fast forward to when the 49ers are in the Super Bowl with the Chiefs. All you had to do was run the ball and keep them off the field. You try to go deep to Emmanuel Sanders and you blame it. And all I keep hearing from the commentators was Garoppolo's fault. No, it ain't. It was Kyle Shanahan's play calling. Trust me, I know. So when they say, you know, what's the example? He runs that same thing. Let's go for the juggler. You know, it's not going to work. run the ball and keep the Chiefs off the field. The Chiefs don't get back. They got the ball back, so you knew it was over. And Sherman was tired because they had to go back on the field after getting the stops that you needed, and you turned around and threw that trash play calling. So that's 2 Super Bowls you done gave up because of your arrogant attitude and that so-called let's throw the ball to put the juggler. The juggler is making sure they don't get back on the field and making sure, like, yo, you know what's the most defeating purpose? When they score and they're like, oh, we can't wait to get back on the field. And then they see you driving. And they're like, yo, we ain't getting back on the field.
It's been 6 minutes.
Yeah, they getting antsy out there. And even if they do get there, to get back on the field, say they got 2 minutes left, they're still like the pressure. It's now more pressure because now you're playing to what we want to do instead of us playing the way, oh God, please let them not, get going. So that's just my 2 cents, man. That was kind of my audible, to be honest with you. These spread offenses is not what you think they are. They're not. And they're going to get your quarterback killed, too. Let me also make that clear. Because I would hate to see, I don't know if you ever seen the Bills' defensive line, but Ed Oliver and them dudes is no joke. I don't want to see them. If I was Kyler Murray, I wouldn't want to see them come around the corner. That, is what it is.
Well, they battling right now, 7-7 with the Titans, man. It's a good Monday night.
Yeah.
We got any more NFL?
No, I think that's really it. I think that's, I think that was my audible. I think we covered the Giants about their 2-0, the Falcons about their 0-2, the spread offenses.
Shout out to my Steelers, man. It's going to be a somber, humbling season, but I'm rocking with you guys.
I think it'll be a competitive season. I think it'll be better than what a lot of people think. And I think that at the end of the day, I think Tomlin's going to do a great job. And like I said, I don't know. I mean, if they let him go, maybe Terry Fontenot should go look at him because he'll change your culture fast.
Let's not. I do not want to go to the dark years. Like, like I'm good. I understand in this season and the next season we might be 500. I'm fine with that. I'm not trying to go to any 3-12 seasons for multiple seasons. So let's keep Mike Tomlin and just figure this thing out.
Yeah.
So man, are we journeying over to hip hop land?
Most definitely.
So there's one main topic in hip hop. So at the end of our podcast last week, unfortunately, we reported on the news the day of it happening of the passing of PNB Rock, I don't want to say AKA, but whose name is Rakim Allen. Unfortunately, he was over in the West Coast in the LA area and got gunned down. There's so much. There's like many layers to this onion, man. Like I got a lot to say on it. How do you want to attack this conversation? Because it's so much to talk about.
I think on the first layer, I want to say it's ignorance and stupidity. I don't know what you think you're going to gain out of this for whoever. I just want people to look at this situation, and especially, let me start here. For the black culture / hip hop culture, at least on the black hand side of it, there's clearly a mental health issue going on. That's one. 2, and you can jump in at any point. That's one. 2, it's just sad because it's once again more black on black crime. And then think about it. And I've said this before in some of the podcasts we said, what's the end game? What are you going to be sitting in jail for the rest of it? Because trust me, whoever did this, if he gets caught, he going to jail for life. They're not even going to allow you to ever come back home. You walked into a place of business and took somebody's life. Not no super gangster dude. Now we could see that. Like this is just some street mess that just happened. You walked into where this kid was at with his woman and popped him in front of everybody. And child was there too?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. So
that's why I said it's many layers. So we're gonna have a nice 30-minute conversation on this.
Okay. So you popped this kid. And I'm sorry if I'm sounding insensitive. I don't mean it the way it's coming out. You shot this kid in front of his child for a chain. That's all you got. Wait, you can't pawn the chain because the minute you pawn it, it's gonna come out.
But Azar, they said That's the way the streets are, because that's all I saw on the internet.
The streets is
that's the streets.
No, that ain't the streets.
And the reason why I'm sounding slow, because that's how a lot of y'all were sounding on my timeline.
Facts.
This is why I'm saying this is such a layered fucking conversation.
Facts.
All I read on my damn timeline is that's the way the streets are, and you were sounding retarded. I'm sorry, that's not politically correct and probably get banned. Let me take that back. No, on a serious note, let me use a different word. It sounded insane. It sounded insane. And I'm going to go on a couple layers. I'm going to save the last layer to last, because y'all not going to like what I'm going to say about the 93 crime bill. I'm going to integrate the 93 crime bill into this conversation. Mm-hmm. Y'all not going to like it, but F it. The first layer. Mm-hmm. So we had Fat Joe on a panel, not on a panel, but was doing a talk show with Charlamagne the God. Shout out to Charlamagne the God, who does great content. And Fat Joe made an interesting point. Nipsey Hussle shot in his hood, helping his people in the black community. Mm-hmm. He started just rattling off names, you know, from what he saw in his time. Mm-hmm. And he said, okay, PNB Rock, you shoot this young man in broad daylight in a area where there's black businesses. Layer number one.
Facts. Preach, D.
Black businesses. But we cry about gentrification. Now I'm gonna look straight into the. There's some things I want to say, but I want this podcast not to get yanked down.
Yeah.
Due to my language. But this is what y'all don't think about with this street code. Y'all really don't understand what the damn street code was, what it was set up for. Y'all just winging it. And I know, because I said this in many podcasts, that I'm a civilian. I'm a civilian, but I come from this urban environment, born in 1986, in the Reagan era, in the crack era. So I think I'm qualified to speak on the ills of our community from where I was born at, and my partner, who's a different generation from me. Mm-hmm. What do you think is going to happen to these businesses in any community, whether it's LA, whether it's Memphis, whether it's Chicago, like what going back down to Memphis with Young Dolph got shot in a freaking cookie store in a black business. And these weren't just like, I'm not trying to sound insensitive, but like simple shootings. Y'all pulling out the AK, shooting 100 shots in the building and all this with the Young Dolph situation. Mm-hmm. And then this kid gets blasted in broad daylight in a black business. These black businesses are going to start looking around like, okay, well, how do we stay here and serve our community? How? Does it benefit us to continue to play this cat and mouse game with our community? Because, yeah, we want to show we down with y'all. We want to show we down for the cause and to help our people. But y'all really blowing people away in broad daylight over chains? What were we brought over here in? What did they have around our neck?
Facts.
But you can't see past that on your brother, and you're gonna blow him away in front of. Can I ask you something? Because I'm only 35. Maybe I'm not the smartest. Maybe I'm not the highest grain of weed in the dispensary. Wasn't it a part of the so-called street code to not inflict violence or place harm in the vicinity of women and children?
Facts.
I mean, I could have swore that was a part of, I'm a civilian, eh? I'm a civilian.
Right.
Wasn't that somewhat a part of a street code? Mm-hmm. Let me bring up some current events, and then I'm going to jump right back into this conversation, because this is a decent conversation we're going to have. Mm-hmm. So I'm watching a hit TV show, Raising Kanan by 50 Cent. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to give this episode away. But the previous episode, there was a situation happening with one of the stars of the show. And long story short, this was at the time, I guess it was placed around the 80s or whatever.
Yeah.
And when the situation is happening out in the woods, something was about to happen, and the Italian stopped his boy and said, nah, man, we ain't doing that.
Right.
We not catching that karma.
Right.
I don't care what's happening right now. No kids.
Facts.
This is in the episode. So this is telling me I don't follow this so-called street code. Mm-hmm. There's nothing you can convince me about. That's just the way the streets work. That I go to rob or harm somebody in a conflict. I see women and children around in broad daylight. I pull out my gun, and because you didn't move fast enough, I start letting shots off. Can I ask you something? What would have happened if one of those bullets would have ricocheted?
Caught his child.
His child was in the vicinity. Bullets ricochet. Even if it hit him, bounce off the floor, bounce off the wall, bullets ricochet. So now you took one person out for no reason, but then placed a child, a woman, and Black-owned business owners and other people in harm's way. Because apparently, according to reports, there was other people in there eating. So going back to what you said, like there's multiple layers. That's the first layer. The first layer is how we're treating each other in so-called Black business districts while simultaneously crying about part of my language, gentrification.
Yeah.
Where do you think these businesses are going to go if this keeps happening?
Yeah, they're not going to stay there.
What sense does it make for me to get a franchise license, because this was a franchise, and say, hey, I'm up a few million. I got my credit right. I grew up in this community all my life. I got a franchise for, what's that Wingstop? Hey, man, I want to put a Wingstop in my community. Why would I do that? Why?
Good question.
So you can rob somebody in broad daylight and blast them in front of their kid?
That's crazy.
But y'all not thinking about that, though. What's the end game? I'm going to pass it back over to you. I got a lot more to say.
I don't understand where I'm just looking like, my God, what was you thinking? You need to be locked up for the rest of your life. You need to be locked up for whoever did it. You got to go. And let me also say this, because I hear, certain people, once again, I ain't going to say their names. This gang culture is ridiculous. It's retarded. It's stupidity.
No, it's not.
It's ignorance.
Because your OG Ice-T. He was on Twitter. I told you guys about this gang culture.
No, he's right. He's right in a way.
To a extent.
I know where he's going with it. It's not what you think it is. At least because I know what you feel. Yeah. I feel right. But this is my thing, is that at the end of the day, like, it's stupidity and ignorance. So what do y'all own?
That's
the
what
best. Like the best thing.
That's layer number 2.
The best thing I saw, the best example, because I know we don't like naming this. Suge Knight was doing this all through the industry. He brought them Bloods in there and he brought the Crips in there, right? He was running through the industry doing what he was doing. He was a scumbag. Yeah. Right? So when he got locked up, the gang members was all sitting around doing nothing. They did all that work, put in everything and did what they did for nothing. You own nothing.
Do they own a
Death
cheeseburger
Row is
right
owned
now?
by a toy company. And not one of them gang members have any share in it.
Well, I think Snoop Dogg is eventually purchased it back.
But what I'm saying is,
after all that time,
what I'm saying is that at the end of the day, it's not bringing anything to your family. It's committing genocide on your people, on your culture. It's giving people jobs that don't like you because now the CEO's watching you for the rest of your life, telling you what to do. There's no end game to it. Who's ever preaching you and want you to be in a gang? We had crews. When we ran with the crew we ran, we wasn't always, we do whatever we did. But hear what I'm saying to you. You had to have an end game. I mean, I remember, in my era, Sunday, they was killing cats over 8-ball jackets. I don't know where. And now you're sitting in the jail for the rest of your life for a jacket that's not even in style no more. So what are you doing? What are you doing? You think of, okay, so let me go here. See, when I'm in the neighborhood that I'm with, that, like you said, the movie, like Kanan and Jukebox and them, that neighborhood's crazy. When I go in there with Tommy, Bobby, and Amy, and Lindsay, and all them, I don't have to worry about, I got to worry about the cops, but I ain't got to worry about nobody coming to jack me. Nobody's going to do nothing to me.
But they don't like that. They try to say that's selling out.
That ain't selling out, man. It's getting away from your ignorant behind. That's what that is. Because clearly you got some serious issues. It's not worth it. Anybody that wants you to get in the gang, they're losers. They ain't going to make it in life, so they want to pull you down with them. I want you to make that clear. Let me tell you just from personal experience. The bozos that thought they was cool, being a bum, not reading, not being smart, trying to be a cool kid, and now I see him out in the street holding signs begging for change. One of them I saw looking like a bozo.
And we're still young.
Yeah.
We ain't talking about no 50, 60-year-olds. We're talking about early 30s and early 40s.
Yep. Facts.
Still young.
looking crazy. And you jumped out the window and you thought you was being cool and teaching, and you're not teaching nothing. You're not teaching anything. Let me say this one more time. Anybody that wants you, it is 2022. So we no longer can say we don't know no better. Read a damn book. I don't know what you need to do.
There's hundreds of documentaries out there.
If you don't like to read, get an audio book. You need to start learning about yourself. You need to start learning about your culture and be you. And let me make this clear, because nobody wants to have this conversation. Any woman, and I'm talking specifically to black women too, any women, I don't care how it's taken. Any woman in the street that's telling you to go out there and get it by hustling drugs, get away from them. Because that's what we call a street whore. Nobody, let me put it this way. Would you ever want your son to deal with a woman like that? She telling you to get locked up. That's what she basically telling you. I need all the designers that really are calling me the N-word behind my back. So go out there and go get it and do what you do. It's ignorance. It's got to stop, and somebody got to say it. It's straight ignorance. And I just don't care no more. I don't want to hear about mental illness and none of that. You ain't got no excuse no more. If you need to go talk to somebody, man, go talk to your moms. Go talk to a friend. If you can't afford the therapy, you got to figure it out. Because at this point, I mean, it's getting spooky out here. And I mean, for what? You got nothing to show. That kid, let me tell you, make it clear. This is what's going to happen. We're going to find out who did it. You're not going to get out of it. Oh, I'm sorry. You're not going to get out of this. We're going to find out who did it. So let me tell you what's going to happen. It's the same thing as what happened with Pop Smoke. He came out here and he went out to LA. And this is another thing. This is happening it's happening from people that look like him. It makes it so hard. So can I
touch on that?
Go ahead.
Just real quick.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Intervene.
So you brought the Pop Smoke situation into this. And it goes back to the gang culture, and it goes back to the gang culture.
Which is stupidity and ignorance.
Hold on, let me go into it. And it goes back to how they're preying on the youth to do these crimes. So allegedly, I have to say allegedly, because there's an open court case. One of the shooters or the person who pulled the trigger on Pop Smoke was 15. Allegedly.
I'll never see the daylight ever again.
No, but that's the problem. He will.
Think so?
You get your second degree manslaughter as a juvenile. That's like 10, 15 years. And then in certain states, you do a certain amount of time. Yada, yada, yada. That wasn't why I brought it up. There was people around him in that situation. I was like 27. Now, I'm not saying what's right and wrong, but go here with me on this. Why was the 15-year-old sent to do the mission?
Yeah. Why
not the 20? It's wrong all the way around.
Yeah, no, I get it.
It's wrong all across the boards, but why was the 15-year-old the one to pull the trigger?
Facts.
15, dog. When I was 15, I just started growing hair on my face, still playing basketball.
Yeah.
And don't tell me, oh, you didn't grow up in that environment. Again, I was born in 1986 in the crack era. Every black person who was born in that era know what the hell I'm talking about.
So what if you wasn't born in that environment? That's the point. Wallow made a good point. You can either do this street mess and be working for 10 cents an hour, or you can be at McDonald's. Me personally like my freedom. And I personally like living my life. And if a woman, let me tell you this at this stage, and I wish I'd have known this when I was younger. If a woman is laughing at you because you're working some dead-end job, because you're trying to figure it out to get to the next part of life, let them laugh. Because I can assure you that chick ain't really nothing about nothing anyway. It looks good on the outside, but it's a trash bag inside. I'm talking from what I've seen. And the story has never changed. It's just like we talk about with sports. It never changes. It's the same thing over and over again. What you gonna keep doing? And let me tell you something. The rappers that promote it, to an extent, I get that some of them talk about, like, they come from that, so that's all they know. But a lot of them, let me make this clear, their kids ain't in that environment. They made sure their kids got out of that environment.
Talked about a lot.
So
your famous gangster rapper,
yep,
who made his money off of selling bricks to you in audio format, the best one, pick any of them from 1998 to now. Their kids are in private school somewhere.
Private school and college.
Every last one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Pick them. Don't care which one you name. Mm-hmm. I know they're private, so they probably not picking. Every last one of their kids went to private school. They wanted to get them out of that environment and shield them from it.
Right.
But that's what they sell, less in audio format.
Right.
Death and destruction. Let's keep going. Like I said, it's multi-layered. Here's another problem I have with the situation. As soon as it happened, everybody wanted to point fingers at the girl, him, talking about this location. Oh, you know. And I get it, because in certain ways we are supposed to be a little bit private with our social media. You're not supposed to post everything. Mm-hmm. But why in the blue hell do I feel like if I post I'm at a certain Popeyes, that's my life? People say, oh, you just don't get it. That's just the way the streets are. Mm-hmm. And I'm purposely saying it like that because that's how you sound in my head. Why should we have the fear of us posting a damn plate of chicken that's going to cost us our life? That's just the antidote. Here's layer number 3. All around this damn conversation, you know what I kept hearing? Well, maybe if he would have checked in, he'd still be alive right now. Can we go in on this checking in bull crap?
Can I say something? Mm-hmm. You know who Seth Rogen is?
Yeah, you big fan of Seth Rogen.
You think he got to check in?
Nah.
How about
I saw a video of Justin Bieber in Watts with his car broke down.
Yeah. You think he got to check in? Mm-mm. No, he don't got to check in. How about the owner of the Rams? You think when they built that stadium and he can go wherever he wants, do you think he's got to check in? Matter of fact, he could probably go in our neighborhood and dare you to try something. I dare you. You won't even, before you even go to reach, it's a wrap. So understand, you're only doing it to your own people. That makes you a coward. That's in other words to me that you just a coward. So in other words, what I'm telling you is if you in a gang, you are headed nowhere. I don't care what dream they're selling you. Oh, you know, I made it big in rap. Can I give an analogy? Mm-hmm. They say, yo, I was hustling. Now I'm rhyming. And no disrespect to Big, because that's one of my favorite MCs always. You know he was broke, right? You know Puff owned his publishing, right?
From reports,
so
allegedly.
Understanding me, when he was selling the dream with the raps, talking about what he's talking about, this kid was broke. That's why he had to take the deal with entertainment. That's why he started it. So I'm gonna say this again. All that we got on record and we left the street game and we're gonna go here and we're gonna do this, but it was a different era in that time. We didn't know no better. Y'all know better. And instead of y'all being men, because whatever's being taught to you, you're teaching to say, go take this other young black kid's life to get a chain. That's not gonna get you what? Maybe tops, and let me get this number, maybe 5 G's tops. Maybe. That's the most you're gonna get. I make that within 2 months. Really? That's what you did for 30. You're gonna spend 25 years. Because with all the media on this case, with the way, especially people of color feeling it,
just like Young Dolph, they had to solve it. They can't just let this one go.
Well, it ain't gonna be. It ain't gonna, not to compare it. It's like with OJ. Like if he had got found guilty, there was gonna be no, you're gonna just do 15 or 20 years. We're putting you in jail for us just because of the media storm. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing. It's just it's too big. You're not coming home. I don't care if you're 15. You're gonna sit your ass in there for another 25, 30 years. We're gonna make sure we can give you the fullest. We're gonna make sure we can give you the fullest. And let me go here with this. I don't know what this kid was affiliated with. But it's just, look at the, what's the kid's name? Shitty Cuz, which that alone, I'm pardon my language.
No, that's his name.
Let that resonate. Your life was taken. That's no disrespect to Nipsey. I just want you to think about this as an adult if you were in a gang. Your life was taken by another gang member by the name of Shitty Cuz. I want you to understand that a grown man calls himself that. If anybody in my crew ever called themselves that, I would walk away from them and never speak to them for the rest of my life. How can you even say that name with a straight face? That's one. Two, let me make it clear. You hurt somebody's family member when you hurt Nipsey. I'm pretty sure there's somebody waiting for you when you get in there. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure it's not just one. There's a bunch of them. So God bless you. I hope it works out for you for whatever goal you wanted while you in there. Because trust me, they are waiting for you. So the guys that are pulling the triggers, they might got some family in there. I hope you built for it. I really do. Because last time I checked, most of these cats got their freedom. They ain't never really been locked up. So now you're going to go in there. And if you don't know how to fight, trust me when I tell you, it's a wrap.
They say the shooters get it the worst in jail, but I want to stick on layer 3, which was the checking in thing. So we just went in on that layer 3 checking in. Let me help you guys out. These gang members do not own anything that's benefiting the community.
Nope.
So when people from the outside see the property value of any neighborhood across America, the value run down, people getting killed, so now the whole block is for sale for less than a few $100,000. And people from the outside come in, you know what happens? Go see what's happening to Old Block. I know you young hip hop fans know what I mean by Old Block. That was the record label that King Von was screaming out. Rest in peace to that young man. But all that death and destruction in Chicago, and I'm not trying to pinpoint Chicago because I have family that comes from the Midwest, and that town's on the top list for murderous cities. But just dealing with Chicago with the Old Block situation, all that death and destruction, reports just came out within the last couple of weeks that the entire Old Block, that hood has been brought. And guess who was brought by? People that do not look like us. So now those people brought the property, and hey, they brought it fair and square. So I don't got to gripe with them.
Facts.
But now everybody in that community is about to get displaced. The grandmothers, the grandfathers that had nothing to do with that they got to find somewhere else to go. You're about to get displaced.
I wonder if they're gonna make them check in with tax money and all that, and they're gonna put their big bad gang out there, and they're gonna just wild out. Let's see what happens.
Now this people in the comments was bringing up all types of other areas in Louisiana. Like apparently this has happened a few times in urban communities.
I seen it happen in New York, man.
Yeah, New York included. The point I'm making is this whole checking it. Like you can, for example, when I go out in the Midwest to see my family, I'm going there to see family. I know who to talk to tell me, okay, you coming out here, this is what we're going to do. This is the areas you stay at. But outside of that, what do I look like picking up the phone telling me who's the new gang in town so I can call them and get permission to go to my favorite restaurant? I'm 35 years old. What do I look like calling Boo Boo the fool from whatever gang set he's in and saying what? Oh, please come extort me for my protection. Because I'm going right into layer 4. And you're not going to like this because people are going to think this is a conservative talking point. They probably going to call me all types of names in the comments. Don't care. These conditions that I'm seeing play out in front of my eyes were the same conditions back in the late 80s, early 90s that led into the 93 crime bill. Oops. Can we finally talk about it? Layer 4. Y'all not going to like this. But now I'm 35. So I get to see what the other 35-year-olds was talking about 30 years ago that are our elders now. So if anybody's unfamiliar with the 93 crime bill, don't got a lot of time on this podcast to educate you. You had to be from that era. If you're not from that era, we live in the information age. Pause the podcast, go Google it. But our community was affected the most. It damaged our community. Something words can't explain. It's so multi-layered, but an entire generation was changed forever with that crime bill. Books were wrote. I think her name is Michelle Alexander, who wrote the book New Jim Crow. Go read it. When we talk about that 93 crime bill, we get all in the ruts. And I get it, rightfully so. That part you won't get no complaint about it. But you actually got to go research the 93 crime bill. Local politicians was bringing it to our clergymen. Local politicians were bringing it to the black preachers. Local politicians were bringing it to the black citizens. No, they weren't just tricked on the assault, because I guess there was a piece in there that talked about the ban on assault guns, because that's where everybody goes with that conversation. But they voted on that 93 crime bill partially because of what they were seeing in their community. My grandson can't go outside and play on his damn bike without catching a stray bullet. And you telling me that's just the way the streets is back in 89, 91, 92, 93. My granddaughter can't play hopscotch in the playground without stepping on needles and worrying about is she going to get hit by the assault rifle in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
I can't go play scratch off tickets and get me some damn cigarettes without worrying if I'm going to get robbed because there's a drug war. You don't want to, I know you guys do not want to hear this. And it might sound a little conservative for us on this side. But those people in our community, our elders, our preachers, our deacons, our clergymen, chose to vote locally in part for that crime bill because what we're seeing today is playing out. The same stuff we're seeing today playing out was playing out in the 80s and 90s.
Facts.
I know you don't want to hear that because that doesn't fit the narrative. The same stuff we're seeing today in 2022 was happening in 89, 88, 91, 92. You're making the average citizen in your community that looks like you feel terrorized. I'm turning on news clips, YouTube. I'm seeing 65-year-old elders in the community in the Bronx talking about, damn, I'm trying to go in my house and I got this 14-year-old girl hit me in the head with a baseball bat. That just happened like 2 months ago.
That's crazy.
You could go look that up. My son was talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
In what world should an elder be scared that a teenage 14-year-old who's not being policed by our community and their parents is hitting them in the head with a bit? What? Can I ask you something? I'm 35, you're whatever age you are.
No, I'm 40.
If we ever thought in our time to pick up a baseball bat and go at an elder, what would have happened to us in our community?
Butt whooping, man.
Forget a butt whooping.
Yeah.
Depending on where you lived at, you might got brung behind the church.
Back still.
You see, so it goes deeper than a butt whooping.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to trivialize that, oh, you just got a little spanking. No. You did something like
butt whooping, like
you did something like that. Your uncles, the deacons in the church might have brought you in the basement. You might have disappeared for 15 minutes and felt pure pain. And then you would have knew, I will never do this again. And I know that doesn't fit the narrative because then there's the whole abuse conversation, blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying, in order to police our community, since some people swear they want to do that, how do you handle a teenage 16-year-old flying upside an elder's head with a baseball bat?
That's crazy.
But going into level 4 with that crime bill, and I know there's going to be somebody in the comments, oh, yeah, you sell out. Stop me when I'm lying. I'm 35 right now. I'm seeing it play out with my eyes right now in every urban environment. I told you when I was born, I got family in the South. I got family in the Midwest, born in New York. Every urban environment I'm seeing, this is what's going on. You got to check in or you get your head blown off in broad daylight in front of your daughter and your girlfriend. And you expect the average civilian to not vote on a bill to make them feel somewhat safe. What protection are you providing for them, for these so-called gangs out here?
Yeah.
Somebody tell me. Because at least back in that time with the gangs, their rule was, we are doing bad in the community, but we got to fix this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about all gangs, no racism, whether it's the Italian gangs, whether it's the black gangs. They were doing their best to halfway repair what they were tearing down. So they would, try to fix the churches up, try to send kids here, there, blah, blah, blah. You new gang members ain't even got an ice cream fucking stand. You don't got a hot dog stand. You're not doing anything but tearing down and destroying. So going back, I understand why some of those elders voted locally in their local elections to get that bill passed. And I know it sucks to hear that. You can say whatever you want to say in the damn comments about this sounding conservative, but stop me when I'm lying. The average citizen does not want to feel like they're in survival mode, like we're in the fucking Vietnam War. I shouldn't have to feel like just to go around the corner to the bodega, my life is in jeopardy because I wore the wrong damn baseball cap. Go ahead.
To coincide with what you're saying, matter of fact, let me pull this up because I think I took a snapshot of it. Let me see if I took the screenshot. So I maybe I didn't take the screenshot. Maybe it played out. So if you know about the young boy from the kid from the Bronx.
Yes.
where they stabbed him up. I mean, I'm not gonna get all the details, but they basically killed him. They just got 25 years. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the kid in the Bronx that was I think New York Yankee fan.
Yeah.
Was his name Julian or something to the effect?
Yeah, something like that. Danny or something. I think it was Danny. But the kid's got 25 years. I just want you to understand. And we'll do this next week. I'll get the names and everything. But that story alone tells you everything. I don't know why he was baited. I don't know what was going on.
The video footage, it was BS.
It was barbaric, son.
It was BS.
It was barbaric. They took this kid out, and first of all, they did him dirty in the stores. The store owner, which I don't blame him, but you know,
it was nothing he could do.
Yeah, I mean, and then they took this kid out, and you see the kid trying to run, like to the hospital. He's trying to run. His adrenaline is making him run because he shouldn't even have made it this far as he made it, but he collapsed. Y'all did this for what?
Nothing.
And mind you, when they got caught, they was crying. Don't cry now.
Well, some of them. Two of them got deported because two of them didn't have their paperwork. So I know exactly what you're referring to.
Two of them. Yeah, the one that he was crying. What are you crying about? You wanted to be a tough guy. So you're going to face the repercussion and consequences of being a tough guy. I hope it works out. Whatever you thought you were accomplishing, I hope it works out. And let me tell you something. There's sometimes you got to protect your people. You got to do whatever you got to do. Nobody's ever saying that. But this is basically just we praying on a week.
That's what I'm never going to agree with.
It's like you just messing with somebody, man. You know these cats ain't got nothing to do with it. And that was what that situation was. And that's the same situation with PNB Rock. What was you thinking? What was you thinking? Who even told you to do something like that? Why at this point are you in a gang? You have no point. You have no point. And there must either not be a parent around telling you, or if there is, the father. I don't know what's the problem. Somebody dropped the ball, but it's bad. And it mostly being affected these black and brown people. So people don't want to sit there and say, yo, you don't know what he's going. I don't care what he's going through. I don't care. Because let me tell you something. I'm
gonna follow up right after
if that was somebody in my crew that happened to, they couldn't stay in the city. We're gonna get you for that. That like it's not gonna happen. Or somebody's gonna have to tell us, you better hope the cops get you. If that's a family member of mine seeing that on camera, you better get out of here now. And you better take your family. Because let me make this clear. A person that's vengeful, that's out in the streets, your mother's still here. So if I got to feel that pain, somebody on your side is going to feel that pain. And I know you ain't got the army to match my weaponry of what I'm going to match it with. So I don't think they're thinking about this. And whoever the OG is that was involved, whether he wants to act like he had nothing to do with it, you knew. So you might as well going to feel that pain. Because trust me, the worst thing to mess with somebody is somebody that ain't got nothing to lose. Imagine an innocent civilian and his family member getting gunned down like that. He looking around like, yo, he feeling like he ain't got nothing to lose. Watch out. And he know you did it, he ain't even going to try to hide about it. He's going to run up on you. And what's going to happen then? I don't think these kids realize the repercussions and consequences. This is not a rap video. You will get caught. They have electronics now. This ain't the old school, man. From the era I'm in, they ain't had the cameras everywhere. They got cell phones to track you where you at.
As soon as you ping.
As soon as you ping the area, they know we right here, right now. So what I'm telling you is it's like, it ain't like before. Before, for whatever I saw, and that's what I'm going to say, for whatever I saw, it was only who saw it that saw it. And it wasn't no cameras, no nothing. It's not that era no more. So you're going to know. They're going to find out who did it. Trust me when I tell you, it's not worth it. It's not worth sitting in jail with a bunch of grown-ass men that you're going to now have to fight them every day. It's not worth it. We got bigger problems out here. We need to reproduce. We need to own our communities. We need to further advance our living situations, our living ways. We need to make our babies smarter. You got bigger problems and issues than that. If you want to listen to music that's entertaining, that might be violent, I get it. I'm all for it. But the one thing to go out there and do it on your people, especially people that are not looking for that type of situation, I can't respect it. And you need to go. You got to go. It's not snitching if it and I keep hearing this thing of snitching. Let me tell you what snitching is. Snitching
Can you Thank you, Jesus Christ. Whoever God you serve. Yeah. Okay. He's about to go into something. Yeah. And it's important because I'm going to follow up after this. So the word is, oh, that's just the way streets are, and nobody better not snitch, even though you shooting in broad daylight on camera in front of civilians. Can you please break down for the uninformed what exactly the term snitch was meant for versus what they're saying it is today?
Snitch is meant for when you're in that lifestyle, and say you and if I'm a Crip and you're a Blood, and we get into it and we bang it out, or we're part of a certain street life. And something gets done,
or you're in the commission of a crime.
Right, we're all a crew. We roll rob a bank. I get caught and I start telling everybody that was there with me. That's snitching.
What is snitching not?
Snitching is not when you hit somebody, like you said, with the grandmother side of the head, and I see it, and I'm a civilian, and I say, yeah, such and such did it. I saw them do it. I'm gonna tell what they're gonna do it. I'm calling the cops, and you going to jail. That ain't snitching.
Thank you.
That ain't snitching. That's putting your behind right where you need to be.
Since because you for some reason the community got that twisted that us as civilians have no right to protect our elders, our children, and our community. That we just supposed to sit back and watch the savagery.
Since you want to play Road Warriors, you can go play Road Warriors with people that's locked up that want to play the same game. Go right over there. Go right over there, and that's where you can sit and be. I'm telling you, I done seen it all the time. You said in the last podcast. None of these drug dealers are telling you anything that's telling you to go that direction. They're all telling you the same thing. It's just you just might as well go to school, man, and focus on what you want to do.
So here's another part. We done jumped around. So I was talking about the 93 crime bill. And, so that was fourth layer. Let me go here. So I was seeing some people interviewing, and I'm not going to say their name because I don't want to look like I'm clout chasing, blah, blah, blah. But, one political activist that, is usually a popular one that jumps in front of the camera said, oh, well, because they asked this activist, I'm not going to say the person's name, they asked this activist when PNB Rock died, what was their thoughts? And they immediately went, well, this is why we need more community resources and, basically the whole, we need opportunity. I hear you, but this is where we need to stop as Black people. Let me help you out. I made a post a while ago, and I was really thinking long and hard on this. Yes, it is true that underserved communities, Black and brown, do need more activities. They do need more resources in school. They do need more funding. That still does not give you the damn goals to go out, rob, and commit murder because you live in an impoverished environment. Why am I saying that? Where are we from, eh?
Yeah.
We from the most impoverished environment.
Yeah.
Can I say, oh, hey, I was born in the crack era, so that gives me an excuse to go rob and murder somebody? No. Let me also help you out for those of us Black people who have family coming from the South that migrated out of the South at a certain time during Jim Crow for a better life. Our grandparents and parents, my father was born in 65 in Mississippi. My grandparents were born in the 40s. Let me help you out. I talk to my elders who are still alive. They lived in the most impoverished time that we can't even fucking fathom today in 2022.
Facts.
You want to talk about some damn poverty? Imagine waking up before grade school or after grade school at 6, helping your family sharecrop. And y'all don't have nothing still after sharecropping. The goals of half of you who are Black, who have family from the damn South. I'm getting tired of hearing this trope that, oh, this is the way the streets are because we're so poor. I'm seeing people, no disrespect to anybody, I'm seeing people come home from prison, create YouTube accounts, and make money. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
What our grandparents and parents went through, I'm 35, so I'm telling you my parents' age. What our parents and grandparents went through during that time period was real poverty. There was no way out. You lived in Arkansas, you lived in Louisiana, you lived in Alabama, pick a southern state. And you had to work the most inhumane jobs for pennies, sometimes for free, sometimes just not to get killed in the South. Can I ask you something? When you talk to your elders, did they ever say there was a high uptick in crime because there was no way out in Mississippi?
Yeah, no.
Because I talk to mine all the time, the ones that's still alive. And yes, there was crime. So you can put your Twitter fingers down because I know somebody's jumping. There was crime at that time. Yeah, there was crime. Nobody was blowing each other heads off for scraps. That was a time, if that's your argument, then that would have been the time for the Wild Wild West shit. People had guns at that time. Don't get it twisted. They didn't have AK-47s and switches. They had rifles. They needed rifles for hunting. They needed pistols for hunting. I know because that's what my grandmother told me they had back then. Mm-hmm. They were not saying, yo, we're so impoverished. It's 1945. We're sharecropping. Let's go over to homeboy over there and stick him up for his crops or whatever he has. Mm-hmm. We were working together to get out of our condition. This is starting to have little to do with poverty and more to do with this gang culture that's a deaf culture. That's the last layer. The sooner we figure that out and step away from it, the better off we're going to be as a community. You can miss me with poverty is the main reason. Our families come from extreme poverty to where sharecropping was the norm for 100 fucking years. And there wasn't an uptick in violence in those communities. My elders are still alive in their 70s and 80s that was sharecropping before school and after school in the deep South. So don't sit up here and tell me the lack of resources is the reason why I got to take a chain off somebody's neck. And if he flinches, I'm going to shoot him in broad daylight in front of his daughter. Miss me with that shit. Go ahead.
You know what, I agree with you 1,000%. That's truth. We do have resources. You know what the resources is? All that money they be pouring into the churches that don't put a dollar into the businesses, the education, the school, the kids, none of it. They take it home and they use it for their own personal use. Shots fired. That's first. Second, I think, I just want to say this since LA feels like being a dangerous place. There is still racism that strong exists in this country. So if you want to go out there and go act with those cats they don't do it within the using it. Do you be using the N-word and using all that crazy stuff? Why don't you go over there and go talk tough to them?
Hey, they don't do it within.
Go act crazy with them.
Thank you for bringing
crazy with them.
No, they have that in LA with they have that in LA with the Latin gangs.
Yeah,
they have that in LA with the Latin gangs. Mm-hmm. There was a gang member that was just on freaking a popular radio station saying how he knows he's appropriating black culture, but he would not sign with a black record label. That same Latino artist who's a known gang member was also on tape after PNB Rock was murdered talking about how y'all need to check in and this is what's going to happen when you're out of towners and flash the gun and everything. I don't have to say allegedly, it's on camera. So to answer your question, they don't do that in LA with other gang members that don't look like them. This is cowardice. This is why I'm saying this has no disrespect to the activists that I brought this up on. This has little to do with lack of resources and more to do with these people just don't care. You want to act like the Wild Wild West. Don't be surprised when they start reenacting laws. I think they already got them in certain states that classify you at the gang members as terrorists. In certain states, if you get caught in the commission of a crime as a gang member, you are labeled a terrorist. Mm-hmm. So instead of getting maybe 3 years for robbery, now you're getting 15 years.
You know what's crazy too? Let me just say this before we end this on this topic. Let me say this: like you wilding out and acting out and doing everything they expect you to do. So when those cops kill young black kids and brown people, because y'all getting it too, y'all just in denial about it. You see when they see that PNB, you see. When we ain't got nothing to do with that. Mm-hmm. He went in there in broad daylight in his community and he did that. That had nothing to do with us. Nothing. To be honest with you, what they're probably saying is we don't even have to do anything. Let them just do it. They'll do it themselves. We're okay. Just go home every night. Just look the other way. They'll do it. And they stupid behind runs right along and go and does it. So that's just what I want to say. That's the end of it. Did you want to ask something to say about that? Because I want to do one more shout out before we get off.
No. Well, I got one audible to throw in. So rest in peace to PNB Rock, Rakim Allen. Sincere condolences to his family. That's just one of many conversations that we're going to continue to have on our platform when it's talking about our communities and our environments of where we come from. So I'm in on that. Before I pass it off to you, we have something coming up on this podcast pretty soon around the same time as this dropping. I already told y'all I got a lot of family in Mississippi, so what's going on in Mississippi with the water crisis is important to me, even though I live in New York, because I have an abundance of family in Mississippi. So I'm always going to show love to the South. I'm interviewing a grassroots organization that's foot on the ground in Jackson, Mississippi about the water crisis. I'm not going to put the details out, but that interview is going to be coming by the time this podcast drops. Shout out to all the people in Jackson, Mississippi. Stand strong. I'm praying for y'all down there. And yeah, I'm praying for y'all that this situation gets resolved, but that content around the the water crisis in Jackson, Mississippi, we're going to be talking on that too. Okay. I'm going to pass it over to you.
All right. So as we ended that, hopefully people will take jewels from that. Take the jewels that they need. I wanted to say, shouts out to, because what we forgot to mention, it's my fault. Shouts out to the Las Vegas Aces for winning the WNBA championship yesterday. I think with all the sports that was going on, to give a shout out, to give you a point, yesterday in history, all 4 New York teams, the Mets, Yankees, Giants, and Jets, all won yesterday. The NFL alone is a big conglomerate, so everybody's watching NFL football. It was going on, but the Las Vegas Aces won their title. Shouts out to them because I know everything that they've went through. I know what Bill Lambert went through.
So Liz Cambage was the problem.
Yeah, I guess you can say that. I guess you can. But, it's ironic. Chelsea Gray was with the Sparks, and she left to go to Aces and looked at the difference. So it just goes to show. Now, let me tell you something about this, and I'm going to stay with the positive on this. Shouts out to Connecticut Sun because they took a step further than they did the season before. So they got to where they got to. And it's not a down on the season. Shouts out to Jonquel Jones for showing the respect that she showed by coming back out after the game and saluting the fans for supporting them all through the season. Shouts out to, and you let me give you the credit because you were the first one to blow this up. Out of everybody that I saw on social media yesterday, nobody bigged up Sydney Colson.
Kia Stokes.
And nobody bigged up Kia Stokes. And we're going to put this clip out. Clearly, I know specifically because you've talked about this. Can I go first?
Ahead.
So to go into what you're saying, I'm going to continue to give you credit. We were around when Sydney Colson first got drafted. To give a short version of a 30-second story, I don't think she ever got the opportunity that was deserved to her when she first came into the league.
Nope.
And she left the team. She was released from the team before Bill Lambert got there. Now fast forward, Lambert's in Vegas and she's there too. So even though she didn't put in all the points like on the court that probably was credited, she contributed to that team.
Contributed to the culture, the locker room culture, and everything.
Facts. Kia Stokes contributed to that team, and for whatever reason, the Liberty let her go, which that was a big mistake, clearly. So to just see them get their just, which we know what they were capable of doing and bringing to the culture, shouts out to them. Shouts out also to Asia Wilson, Derek Hamby, Chelsea Gray. There's a few other people I'm missing. I apologize to some of the Aces players. I don't know everybody by name, but they definitely put in the work and the time, and it's well deserved. Becky Hammond too. That
definitely
team was,
shout out to Becky Hammond.
That team was put together to win, and Becky Hammond took them to where they needed to go. But like I said, I think what was that was the most important jewel to me, to see Sydney Colson and Kia Stokes, because I know what I've seen them go through what they've gone through and their commitment and how good they really are, but nobody gives them credit. So just to see them get what was rightfully deserved to them by winning a championship, salute to them. I want to make one major point. On the back end, and we'll talk about this when WNBA season comes back around, something that Lexi Brown said from LA Sparks, she tweeted yesterday, she said, you see what happens when you invest in a team. And she also tweeted while the playoffs were going on, one day I'm going to tell my story about this team. So I don't know what was going on behind closed doors, which we all know. LA, there was some. We already
talked about the Sparks before.
Well, to throw shots, we all know about the stupidity and ignorance of the gang culture out there. But it's the franchise is even worse for the WNBA. So I just want to put that out there. So you can you take the floor.
Oh, nah. Definitely shout out to the entire Las Vegas Aces roster. Shout out to Becky Hammond. For a little context, the reason why we shouted out those two players amongst the entire team, like I tell this story a lot, we were blessed to start our media journey with the New York Liberty in 2011. That's a little context of why we brought up Sydney Colson, because that was the year her and Alex Montgomery was drafted by the Liberty, and it was 2 or 3 other players. And just our media opinion, they weren't given their fair shake in New York. That's just our media opinion. You know, that's not us being ultra fans, but yeah, we were following the Liberty since 2011. So when we see Sydney Colson grind out and continue with her dream and don't quit and don't retire and go to the Aces, and you might say, oh, well, she wasn't on the floor a lot. She played a pivotal role with culture. Culture is very important. Take advice from that. Obviously, look at other teams and other professional sports, how the locker room culture is important. Same thing with Kia Stokes. Good building block that I felt could have been used more properly in New York. Got traded. Both of those players are now on the receiving end of their hard work, their sacrifices, and everything they put into the culture of the Aces, and now they have championships. So shout out to them especially, but big shout out to everybody on the Las Vegas Aces roster, and big salute to Becky Hammond.
Yeah, that's what I have to say.
All right, we're going to end this podcast, man. I know we went all over the place. This what usually happens when we do 2 hours and we talk about sports, hip-hop, and all the topics in our community. Stick around. We got more to come. And like I said, a story on what's going on in Jackson, Mississippi with the water crisis. That's coming soon. We'll see y'all soon.
Salute.